are here. We appreciate that. Today we have Chris Babbitt from Instructure. Their product is called Canvas. Unlike some of the other products we looked at where we could host them, it's not our intent to host this system. Canvas is only hosted. You're going to talk a little bit about your model of the updates and things. It's a little bit different model than we're used to from how they run things on the back end, but nice product. We're very impressed. I think you're going to see some things that we used to quite a bit today.
All right. Thank you, Jim. I'm going to go ahead and click record. We're going to start recording it. Just wait. There we go. Okay, folks, my name is Chris Babbitt with Instructure Canvas. We've got about an hour and a half today. We're going to take you through and show you Canvas. I also have a copy of your rubric. I've readjusted the flow of the rubric, so I don't know if you're going to be scoring or not, but I just aligned it to make more sense with how we deliver the product presentation, kind of in line with how you'd use the system. With that being said, I'm going to jump right in. Let me close this window. You should now see up there, everything looks good. I've logged into Canvas. I'm in here regardless of your role. This is what Canvas would look like. I'm a teacher, I'm an administrator, I'm a student. You'll see all the recent activity that's happened across all of the courses and groups that you're participating with. So if I hover over the courses and groups area, one column represents all the courses I'm participating in. Groups, these are either system-wide groups. It could be the Instructional Technology Committee, it could be the chess club, it could be professional development, whatever, and then there could be student groups in there, like if you have a baseball team or a football team or anything like that. It has access to all of the tools that we'll show you in the course, except obviously grading. You really wouldn't be grading in these system-wide groups. Okay? Over on the right, you see a list of things I need to do. I'm a teacher. I can see across all my courses exactly what needs to be graded and what's coming up. The first thing I'm going to do is, you probably have a question about, we've been on Blackboard quite some time, what's going to happen to my content. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, I've got the ability to go in and start a new course. I'm going to call this the JCU course. Pardon my typing, I've got some Band-Aids on my fingers here, so it's causing me some problems. And you have some different content licensing on this. You can put content out there in the public domain for anyone, or you can make this Creative Commons even private copyrighted. Much of this will be automated from Banner so that you won't have to deal with this. We'll automatically create course shells and enrollments. But I've just created an empty course shell right here. When you first come into an empty course, there's a wizard of logical next steps that comes up at the bottom. If you want to get rid of that, you just click on it. If you want to bring it back up, there's a course setup checklist in the top right-hand corner. My next logical step in this process is to import content. If I click on the import content, there's a drop-down of all the different types of content I can bring in. You can see right here your Blackboard export can come in. You can also see things like QTI, which is a quiz creation package if you're using Respondus, or any third-party publisher test banks or anything like that would come in as QTI. I'm not going to work with one of your Blackboard courses, but I want to show you the same process of bringing in maybe either a Canvas course, or if you've been teaching in Canvas for a while, you might copy a course from a previous period or that has content into Canvas. And this is part of your content management repository concept. You have a math department. All the math teachers are in this repository together. They can share and access this content. So if I go into the copy a Canvas course, I can either have a drop down of all the courses that I'm a teacher in, or I can search this for any course that's a master, let's say a master repository. So here's all the repositories I have access to. I'm going to jump right into the first one, which would be the U.S. History Master course.
So you do not have to create the export to bring it in. You can either bring in an export zip or the course.
If I've been teaching, the question is, you don't have to create an export to then bring it into Canvas. If I've been teaching in Canvas for more than one semester, that class stays in there, and I can always pull from that. I don't have to export it, then re-import it in, correct?
Okay.
All right? So I'm going to select, I can select migration content, so I can pick and choose just different learning objects, or I can bring the entire class in. In this case, I'm just going to bring the entire class in. And then down below it, adjust events and due dates. If I select this is pretty cool. This class used to run from February 28th to a certain date. I'm going to have the class run from today. All right? Well, I have to spell today correctly. And if your eyesight's good and you look right below the word today, what does that say? Canvas knows automatically that today is Thursday, February 20th. This is one of the many examples of how Canvas really empowers you to spend more time helping students, with their classwork and teach and learn, as opposed to the frustration sometimes of technology where they create complications that make your life more difficult. I'll be showing you a lot of different examples of this, but on the change to date that it ends, I'm going to say it runs to next month. So if I type the word next month in, Canvas knows that exactly 1 month is February, March 20th. Substitution, if something falls on a Sunday, I can push it to a Tuesday. If something falls on a Saturday, I can push it to a Monday. If I want everything due on Saturday, if I want to move a Tuesday, Wednesday to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, etc., I have the ability to do that. I click the import button, and this will either migrate all your Blackboard content and bring it in with those new due dates, or it'll bring in that course from a previous time into Canvas, realign those dates, and push things off of Saturdays and Sundays for you. Okay? That's content conversion. As part of our implementation service, we can batch convert all of your Blackboard courses for you, so you don't need to do those one by one individually. It wouldn't be required. All right? I'm going to go back to the system homepage where I began, and now we're going to talk about a couple system-level tools that, regardless of my role in the system, I have access to. Up in the top right-hand corner, there's a settings area. If I click on this, I go into my personal settings right here. I've loaded a picture of me right here on my bike. I can drag and drop and bring other pictures in, which would then become my avatar. If you happen to have these as part of your student record and banner, you can bring those in automatically as well. Up here in the top right-hand corner, I've got different ways of contacting me. So everyone here has a jcu.edu email address, I imagine, but you probably also have a Gmail, or if you're old-fashioned like me, you have a Hotmail account, or maybe adjuncts might have a work address from a company they work with. You can add different ways of contacting me. So up here I can type in a different email address and link that into Canvas. What I can also do is, especially if I'm a student, I was out in the lobby here waiting for today's session to begin, and what do I see? I see students hanging out, and they're all plugging away on their cell phones, right? And they're probably spending time on Facebook and checking their text messages. So we enable users to integrate cell phones with Canvas. I go in, I pick my carrier, AT&T, I type my cell phone number in, Canvas sends me a text message, I plug that back in here, and now my phone and Canvas have become integrated, all right? And moving on, there's even other ways of contacting me. So down here in the bottom, you can see I've integrated Canvas with Facebook, Google Docs, Twitter. If I want to be connected with LinkedIn and Skype, I just simply click on Skype, enter my Skype name, and now I've integrated Canvas with Skype. This is usually about the time someone raises their hand and says, what does it mean to have all these different integrations with Canvas? Over on the left-hand side, you'll see there's a notifications area. This is where Canvas becomes a communication broker based on user preferences. So I'm a student. Anytime something's graded, I want to be notified right away, daily, weekly, or maybe never. I want to be notified right away of any grades, send a text right to my cell phone here. I have examples of teachers that have been grading while the students are in class, and they actually get a grade over their phone like right away, that instant information. And here we talk about not just individual pieces of information, but the velocity of information that users can get helps them stay engaged and captures them as they're in these online courses and using the system online.
So is that linkage to Skype something that can be used within the course or just for notifications?
This is mostly for notifications right now. So these are all different channels like Twitter. If I have a Twitter feed and I want to receive announcements to my Twitter feed, I can do that. Facebook, what that means is that I'm sitting there looking at my Facebook screen and something happens in Canvas. There's a little Canvas icon that lights up in Facebook and says, hey, you have a new announcement in Canvas. Click here to check it out. We're not posting information to a student's wall for the world to see. And more importantly, we're not asking you to be friends with your students on Facebook, which our founders call the creepy treehouse. They want to stay away from that. They don't care. If you never want to have a Facebook account, that's fine. If your students have it, they can connect with Canvas and become engaged through the system. There's a whole list of items here on communication, on discussions, on conversations, and on messages. The really nice thing is if I want to subscribe to discussion forums to my Hotmail account, anytime there's a new discussion forum posted, a new post in a forum, I'll receive an email to my Hotmail account. If I want to reply to that discussion post, all I have to do is hit reply. That'll go back into Canvas. So I don't have to log back into the LMS to respond to that. I can do it. Those two will talk to each other. The same is true for when we forward mail messages. If I want to forward my Canvas mail to my Gmail account, so a student sends me a message, it gets forwarded out to my Gmail account, I just hit reply in Gmail, it goes back into Canvas and it continues that dialogue. We don't want to make you have to log back into the LMS to respond and react to that. We want to make it super simple for you to keep that communication and that engagement going. All right? Those are the notification preferences. I'm going to stick here in the settings area, talk about a couple other things. The next one is the file broker right here. This is the file manager. And if I go into here, I can see a list of all the courses and groups I'm participating in. So each of these folders on the top left-hand side represents either my own personal space, Chris Babbitt, the American Lit course, the Geology course, the JCU course, which I just created. Faculty Lounge and Student Government are two groups that I'm in. And if I want to bring files into any of these, let's say I want to bring files into my Chris Babbitt personal area, I just click over here on the files, and I see a list of files. And with modern web technology, what's the easiest way to bring files into a system? Drag and drop. So I want to bring the PDF, I want to bring a syllabus, I want to bring a lit, and we actually have a love letter. One of our customers wrote us a love letter. I want to bring these into Canvas, drag and drop, let go. And now I could actually even close out my web browser, and these will still upload in the background for me. But I can walk away. You can see I got a status bar here. This takes just a moment or two, depending on the size of these files. And once they're in here, it's really easy. If I want to move this syllabus into the JCU course, I pick it up, I drag and drop, and now it's in the JCU course. Anyone in that course or group can then access, and we can share those files together. So one of your criteria was Dropbox and file sharing and resources. This is a great way to do it. You can upload files into here.
Can I decide where it goes, or do I have to go to the course and put where I want?
Well, right now it's just going to be in the files area of the course. Once we're in building content in the course, you have a couple ways of putting it in different areas, which you'll see here in just a bit when I go into the course. Anytime we upload a digital asset, we also neutralize that because we want to minimize the disruption of technology. And I travel all around the country. I visit some schools in very rural areas where students may not even may still be on dial-up. Maybe they don't have PowerPoint, which Canvas helps alleviate because they can go in, and I have this PowerPoint presentation right here. I can click on this within Canvas, and we're going to neutralize this so the end user can actually take a look at a PowerPoint document without ever opening this up. And this is just I have a couple slides here. Most companies will come in and give you a PowerPoint about their company and about their product and how great they are and how many customers they have. We're going to take a slightly different approach right here with a message here for you about Canvas. And that is, we think as you put together this committee and you look at these different systems, we think the most important criteria is, will this get adopted and will people use it? There's a gentleman by the name of Casey Green who does a campus computing survey every year, and after 13 years, the results are overwhelming and staggering here that about 62% of classes use learning management systems. Many of those are just for things like syllabus and maybe a discussion forum. So, 30% are actually using the LMS, which is very low. And there's another point here about Casey Green's study, the CIO's rate of effectiveness on IT investments in the campus. All these things that relate to online learning technology are very low and just not delivering the return on investment that you're spending for the learning management system. So that, once again, that's why we think adoptability is really important to consider as part of the process. And then, what leads to adoption? You've given me a matrix of some criteria, different functionality that's important to you. But look at things like, is this LMS easy? Does it save me time? Does it hold me back? Can I depend on it? Can I get things done when I'm mobile? And does it actually enhance the learning experience? Those are some of the things we encourage you to consider as part of the evaluation. And then the two final slides here, I'm going to talk a little bit about a book that was written by a gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Moore. It's called Crossing the Chasm. And it deals with technology adoption. And you can see on the left-hand side of this graph, there's this area of experts. You probably can't read that this well, but these are people that like the cutting-edge features. They don't mind spending all day in training sessions, and they want to support every use case possible. Then there's the other part, about 80% of the people, and this is everyone else. These are the people that are not showing up for this presentation because some of these people use laptops as doorstops, right? They're technology averse. They just don't like it. It scares them. It's difficult for them to use. And that's really the point we should consider this audience because it makes up most of your campus. And that we have an experience where we've done some work with schools that actually do LMS evaluations based on adoption. Which of these systems will give us the highest rate of adoption? You can see there's 5 different schools here that previously in their LMS, they had very low rates of adoption. When they moved to Canvas, you can see they doubled. In some cases like Seattle Central Community College, they went from 3% adoption to 20% adoption. So these are examples of schools that we think have done it the right way with making sure that they're picking a solution that will give them the best chance of success with adoption. All right? So those are my quick PowerPoint slide. Gives you an example of how we can neutralize those files right within Canvas, and you can actually take a look at those inline in the system.
So that's opening up the PowerPoint within your system that's just showing you.
Yeah.
What's it compatible with? All the usual stuff?
The question is, that's opening up a PowerPoint document within my window here. Yeah, the Microsoft Office suite, Word, PowerPoint, PDF documents. If it's anything, I've got some schools that have specific engineering programs that produce an engineering output, for some sort of, calculations or something like that. Chances are it probably won't read that, but all of your common file types that you'd be using, again, PDF, Word, PowerPoint, neutral documents, CSV files, and text documents as well would open up in there.
Macintosh ones like Pages and those kinds?
I don't know specifically about Pages opening up within there. Would Pages be a link, or would it be an actual something you upload?
Pages is the Mac version of
Word.
Okay.
Keynote is PowerPoint.
Yeah. Yeah, we can certainly try that. I mean, we can take a look and try that out. All right. And sir, you had a question as well?
Video.
Yeah, I'll be talking about videos in just a moment here as well. We'll talk a little bit about videos. All right, so I'm going to go back to my profile area, and we're going to finish up with just a couple other items here. Every user in Canvas will have an e-portfolio as part of the system right here. So, the unique thing about Canvas is that everything I show you today is part of our singular LMS offering. These are not different options and features you have to opt in for. All of this stuff is included. And as we develop and enhance the product, it's all bundled in it as well. We don't charge you each time something comes out and is added to the system. The ePortfolio serves 2 primary purposes. One is for students, when they graduate, they want to create a publication or a resume of what they've done here at John Carroll. And they can share that either with, if they want to go on for continuing education, graduate school, whatever, they can use that as part of the application process. Or they can create a web-paged resume, and they can securely share that with a prospective employer, pull some things in that they've done here at their time at John Carroll. The second part is about assessment, where they're part of the English program here, and before they graduate, they have to demonstrate they've met certain competencies over their 4 years of time here. They create a publication, they pick and choose artifacts from their time here, things that are in Canvas. They can submit that back to the LMS for assessment. So 2 different components of the ePortfolio tool. The question I usually get about this is, how long does it stay available for students once they graduate? And that's really more of an institution policy. We're going to give you a tremendous amount of capacity. How many, you know what your FTE is roughly? 5,000? 3,200. You're going to get about a terabyte of capacity out of the gate with us. So you can keep this data in here for quite some time and never. Yeah, it'll be about you'll get a terabyte or more. So that data will stay up there for a while. Okay. The last part down is badges. Here's an example of how we're embracing some of these new concepts that come out. Badges mean that you can give badges to students when they complete certain requirements in their course, if they've passed a test, met certain accomplishments, or are a really good contributor to class discussion. You can just give them a badge, and they can carry that with them and take it to other sites. Like the Mozilla has a badges backpack that makes that a little bit more portable. I'm a teacher, so I don't have any badges to show you. All right. So that's the different settings. I'm going to go back to the home page, talk about a couple other system-wide tools. The first one's going to be the calendar. I talked a little bit about how we migrated our content over from either a previous semester or migrated from Blackboard. Here is our calendar, and this is across all our courses and groups. So each of the different courses and groups is represented by a different shade of color. Today's the 20th. I click on February 20th. I want to create a new event or a new assignment right here. I can create an event. You know what? Today happens to be my birthday, right? And today's the 20th. I want it to go from 3 o'clock to, let's say, 5 o'clock right here. And what calendar is this going to be on? This will be my private Chris Babbitt calendar right here. I click Submit, and now that event comes in, it'll show up anywhere in the course that would need be. So it'll show up in the course syllabus. And even more importantly is that, we've had a really crummy winter here in the Midwest. And if you have a snow day, if a lot of ice rain comes out today, or let's say tomorrow it's supposed to be really windy and maybe school's canceled, I want to go in here to this event that begins at 10 o'clock, and I want to move this. I want to change the date of this. And the easiest way to do that in modern web technology is to pick it up, drag and drop. We're going to make this now due on the 25th because we know that school is going to be canceled tomorrow. Everywhere this event shows up in the course syllabus and in the course listing will be now automatically changed. We call it our dynamic course kaleidoscope. And if students have their cell phones hooked up and send a text message to them and says this event has been changed to Tuesday, they get that notification right away if they've set that up. There's a calendar feed down here, so I can push this calendar out to a Google Calendar, iCal, Outlook, etc. right here, so I can push that and integrate it in with other calendars if I like. Okay, that's the calendar. We've also added recently a tool called a scheduler right here, which allows you to set up the ability to have events and have students sign up for those. This was a piece of functionality that was brought to us by one of our Ivy League customers in the Northeast, and the implication was they found that when teachers went out to lunch once a year with students, that they donated more when they graduated. So they have this scheduler event. I think it maybe works better as well in nursing programs where you have to sign up for labs. There's 5 slots open. Here are the different days, first come, first serve, and students can sign up and do that themselves. So a newer piece of functionality that's come out that we just roll into the application for you.
So you could do like office hours?
You can do office hours would be another great example if you wanted to have students sign up for different times to come in specifically to see you. Okay, that's the calendar. The last piece of holistic system-wide functionality is the mail tool. There's an inbox up here. It has a 5 on it, 5 messages. I go in. Our mail tool is holistic across all courses and groups, but if I just wanted to see messages from geology or JCU or the American Lit course, I could filter down and see those. If I want to compose a new message, I click the little box right there. I can select a course. I want to go to geology. I can click on the little person, the address bar. This lets me say, okay, I want to send it to all the teachers, all the students, all the sections, all the groups. Let's say I just want to send it to one of the groups right here, Geology Group 2 right there, and I select, and now we're good to send the message to them. I can type the message in here, but what makes it even easier is if I have a camera or a microphone installed on my computer, I click on the little button down here, the little film strip in the bottom left-hand corner, and you can see I have a camera installed on my laptop here. Now, the school has blocked the port or the access port on the public Wi-Fi, so I can't actually record this, but hopefully you get the idea here that there'd be a little red button. I'd click the button, I'd start talking, students, I'd like you to come to class Monday because Friday is going to be canceled. You click it again, it'll record, it'll package it up and send it as part of this message, okay, for you.
If do a screen capture rather than a...
Yeah, you cannot. The question is about a screen capture. This is not a screen capture tool. It's more of a recording tool from your camera here. If you didn't want students to see you, there's also the ability to do this is the video. There's also a microphone. So if it's Monday morning and you haven't quite freshened up and you don't want to see you can just do an audio message right here. And this will package the message up, send it along with the mail. And what we're also doing is just like the PowerPoint and the Word documents, we're going to neutralize this. We're going to transcode this asset into a number of different formats so that when someone opens on an iPhone or a Droid or a Chrome or Firefox or, heaven forbid, Internet Explorer, it'll say what technology is the person using and then open it up in the appropriate player. Once again, minimizing the disruption of technology, because you know as well as I do, when these things don't work, it creates frustration and it shuts people out. You know, I've got teachers that never want to use an LMS because it's just been a bad experience in the past. And we're trying to minimize that by neutralizing things as much as possible. The questions I usually get about this recorder, we're going to show you the recorder in a couple different places. How long can the videos be? Well, there's 2 answers to that, really. From a pedagogical standpoint, it's more about 1 to 3 minute sort of snippets and vignettes of information. We have some teachers that want to do things up to an hour or so, and you can do that, but just be cognizant of the student experience and them really realistically watching a 1-hour video. It's a 500 megabyte file limit, I think, so that gives you more than an hour if you really wanted it. It's not intended to be lecture capture. It's intended to be a way to just personalize and engage more in the online environment. All right? And it's super easy to use as well. Just a couple clicks and you've got that incorporated for you. Yes, I have a question.
Mail, is that key into my class roles, so I kick out of that?
The mail key into your class roles.
So when you put a mail to, you have groups, but what if I just want to know?
You want to send a message to an individual student? Yeah, I can go in and, if you just want to type in like Bill Blend as a student, if I type Bill's name in, all the bills that are in courses that I'm teaching will show up here. Right, Bill, so you saw the drop down there. So Bill Blend and Bill Spill, I want to send the message to Bill Spill right here, I can do that.
And is there a send email? Does it capture the emails that are sent?
Yeah, if I go over here and go back, I can go in and I can star this, but let me see what I have here. I can star it by inbox. I can look at everything in the inbox, unread, starred, sent, and archived. So it's kind of like a Gmail that, in Canvas, we'll talk about our modern web technology and the way we're a true cloud application. When you delete things, you really don't delete them. You just move them to a recycle bin, and they're always going to be there for you. So even when you delete a mail message, it's more of archiving it. You can always go back and have a record of that interaction with the student. Okay?
But if I'm in a course, I can also drop down, find all the students and pick who I want to email to also, right?
Yeah, within the course, there's ways of doing that. Yeah, so this is, yeah, okay? So I'm going to now leave the mail tool, and we've talked about all the different system-wide settings. Now let's jump into a course and spend the rest of our time talking about course-level functionality. I'm going to click the Introduction to Geology course. This is the course I demo from. Bear with me a second here. And, bear with me 1 second here. I'm going to change something real quick. By default, when you first come into Canvas, the course layout is the same as the system layout, and that is a recent activity stream of what's happened, in this case, within this course. We've just found through research that this is what students gravitate towards, is this feed of information that just comes to them and shows them what's recently happened. If, from a pedagogical standpoint, you didn't care for this, you wanted a different layout, you can simply click Change Homepage Layout in the top right, and you can drop down from a number of different things, including a page that you designed through our rich content editor. And if I update the layout, this will now have a page that I've designed displayed when students log in here. And we've got different modules, course orientation, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, etc. Students can click on there and go into those different areas of content. I can also change this. Let's say I know some people like to use the assignments with syllabus right here. So if I click Update Layout, this will be this is a rich content that I've created right here through the rich content editor, and then everything below it is an automatic listing of all of the events based on the due dates right here. So just a nice way to get a linear listing of everything that's due in the course. And again, when you change this on the calendar, this will automatically be updated right here so that the dates will change for you, and that event will move around if you move and change the due date of that event. I'm going to go back, and I like to show the course modules sections layout as part of our demonstration here. So right now I've got everything laid out by different modules, be it week 1 or perhaps content type like the orientation or the final week. And if I just click on the end here, I can expand and I can see all the content that's nestled in there. If I want to create a new module, there's a button right here that says create a module. I click on this and I will call this the JCU MODULE. I can lock it until a given date, so this doesn't open up until the 21st at a certain time. I can add a prerequisite so that the student must complete week 5 before this opens up. Then you can go back into week 5 and you can dictate what it means for week 5 to be complete. They have to have 5 discussion forum posts, they have to get an 80 on assignment, and they have to get a 90 on a quiz. That means it's complete, and that will open up week 5, or we'll open up this module. They also have to move through the requirements in sequential order. I'm not going to put any restrictions. I'm just going to create add module. And now I've got the JCU module at the very bottom. I'm working in the content. I need to move some things around. What's the easiest way to move things around in modern web applications, right? Drag and drop, pick it up. You don't have to turn editing on. You don't have to reorder. You just move it, you let go, and now it's saved right here, okay? If I lost my internet connection, it would show up here tomorrow when I logged back in. The process for creating content now is to go to the end of this little gear. There's a drop down, and I can click Add Content to this course. I'm going to click on all the different types of content we have. And even before I add content, I'm going to take a little bit of a side detour here and talk about the adaptability. I talked about adaptability earlier on. The adaptability of Canvas. How do we embrace what's the latest and greatest with learning technologies? And that is through the ability to plug in external tools. So you can see at the bottom of the assignment area here, I've got an external tool option. Let me click off this for a second and go over to the left-hand side to the settings area. And And these are the settings for the course. If I click on the settings area, I go over here and you see a tab that says apps. And I keep picking up my iPhone here because most people have smartphones, right? You have a Droid or an iPhone and you're used to this concept of extending the functionality of the phone through the App Center. I live down in Cincinnati. I drove up today. I found my hotel on my phone. I'll find my restaurant on my phone. I talk about the weather on my phone. You know, all the things that historically you'd never get on the phone are easily plugged in and extend the functionality. And the same is true of the Canvas App Center. If I click on the App Center here, I will now see a list of all these different education technology tools that easily plug into Canvas. And let's say I'm a badges junkie. I just can't get enough of badges. I want to find all the different badges. Did I spell it right? Oh, there it is. So B-A-D-G-E, I'm sorry. So I just type in badge, and this shows me all the third-party badge tools that integrate with Canvas. Super easy, okay? But in this case, I'm just going to show you everything to give you a sense for this. A lot of this is publisher content, but we've got one here, the Khan Academy. I had a statistics professor say, boy, wouldn't it be nice to just plug some entry-level Khan statistic information in here and resources to help students on some of those topics. Easy to do that. WordPress, if you want to blog, WordPress is a free tool for blogging. YouTube, you want to plug that in. And I'll just continue to scroll through here. You'll see a lot of different things. We're unlikely to ever create some different things. Like we're never going to create a lecture capture tool because companies like Echo 360 do a great job of that. And if you just wanted to plug any of these in, let me actually show you how one of these plugs in. Let me go to NBC Learn. I want to access content from NBC Learn. I click on it. This takes me to information about it. There's actually even a rating center here that has different stars. If I want to add the NBC Learn tool to Canvas, all I do is go in here. And if it's something you have to buy, like publisher content, you do need the consumer key and the shared secret. That will create a nice tight integration. So if you use My Labs from Pearson, anyone? It's like another LMS they have, but that just creates a nice integration where students don't have to log into it, and it also will pass the grade data back into Canvas and create that nice secure two-way connection. Okay, that's the App Center concept. I'm going to go back to Introduction to Geology, and we're going to be...
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Does that integrate with turning technologies?
You know what? I think I might have seen it there. Let's see, apps, TURN. Turning. I thought we did have an integration with Turning Technologies. Is that the name of the company? You didn't see it at the very beginning.
It's the iClicker. It's a clicker.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Company, but it's the competitor.
Okay. Yeah. We'll jot that one down. Turning. I thought I had seen it in here before because I know we have the integration with the different clicker tools. I don't know why it wouldn't come up on the search, though. And this list gets bigger pretty much every day. Something new is being added to it.
Did you say something about a screen capture that you wouldn't do?
Yeah, like Echo 360 is a lecture capture system where you come into the classroom, you press a button, and it has a camera on you. It captures.
I don't want a camera, I want a screen capture.
Oh, screen capture? Okay. You could always use, I use something like QuickTime right here built on my computer to capture screens. You could use like a third-party tool like that. How you do a screen capture with this right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go into QuickTime. Let me go File. Let's create a new screen recording. This is a recording to show you how I can capture my desktop, and I will eventually upload this back into Canvas when I'm in the course. All right.
Okay.
So now I'm just going to close out of this, and it'll save somewhere in my files. Let me save it to my desktop, and let me call it Screen Capture.
And then you would drag it.
Yeah, I'll plug it in. We'll plug it in here in just a moment. Yeah, but I will check on Turning Technologies. I thought I knew for certain that we had it in there. I don't know why it didn't come up, but we'll check on that one for you. All right. Now I'm going to go back to Introduction to Geology, and let's continue to build out some content in the course. I'm back at the home page. I've got the JCU module. There's a gear here at the end. I want to add content. And I've got different types of content here. I'm going to add an assignment into Canvas. Here's a listing of all the assignments I've already created or brought over. I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to call this the JCU assignment. What category of the grade book does this go into? I've already set these up. I'll show you in a bit here how we do set those up. I give it a points, 20, and I give it a due date. Let's click on the calendar and say it's going to be due tomorrow, the 21st. All right? And I click Add Assignment, and now it shows up, and I click Add Item. So the JCU assignment is now part of this module. All I have right now is a name and a due date and points possible, so let's go into the JCU assignment and add a little bit more context. I click on the Edit, and this brings up the Rich Content Editor. The Rich Content Editor is available in a number of places: discussion forums, announcements, quiz instructions, assignment instructions, actual quiz questions. If you wanted to create very robust quiz questions, you can use the Rich Text Editor. At a minimum, I'd say please submit, oh boy, submit here, okay? ... The spell check is built in. It's browser-based. It's the best way to do spell check right there, so it'll automatically identify anything that's misspelled. And let me show you some of the unique functionality of the Canvas Rich Text Editor. If I want to add content from somewhere else in the course, over here on the right-hand side, I've got the ability to insert content into this page. So I want students to view this item, colon. And I can have any of the pages I've created, any of the assignments, any of the quizzes, any of the announcements, discussions, modules, etc. I've got a number of pages that I've created, and I want them to look at Concept Inventory 3. It's a page I've created. I click on this, and then keep your eye on the Rich Text Editor. That easily repurposes that piece of content. The next tab over is the Files area. Right here, I can look at all the files that have already been loaded. Remember when I drag and dropped all those files in? They now show up all right here. But let me go in now and actually upload a new file. And I can choose the file from my desktop. Let's see, my desktop. And I've got the screen capture video. I click Open. And I upload this. And it's not that big of a file. Now that screen capture movie will show up right here in the Rich Text Editor. That's just one of many ways of getting it in there. The final one over is the ability to add images. Right here, all the images I've already uploaded into Canvas. We have a built-in integration with Flickr, which is an image repository. They have a Creative Commons, which means it's free for educational purposes. So if I click on Flickr for Creative Commons, I can search in here, let's say, Cleveland, oh boy, C-L-E-V-E-L. How am I spelling that?
You're right.
You're right. It's the Cleveland Browns that are wrong.
If I want to search the repository here of images with the Cleveland Browns in it, here I can go in and get one of these old pictures right here and just click and then add that in right here, and I can just drag and resize that right here. Super simple, okay? A couple other things. Remember back to the LTI tools. To the far right of my editor are some of the LTI tools I've plugged in, like a graph builder right here if I'm teaching math. There's an LTI tool for building graphs that plugs into the editor. There's a one for Quizlet flashcards here if I want to present students with some flashcards. There's the Khan Academy that I've plugged in, the YouTube. If I want to do YouTube for something like CLEVELN, Cleveland Snow, I can search YouTube right here, and I can see all these videos about severe snow. Oh my goodness. You know what? I don't know if I ever plugged this in. My battery is... Okay, I hope that's charging. I hope so. Okay, so if I want to plug in that YouTube video, I plugged it in. Did I plug it in actually? I don't think I plugged that in, but you get the sense right there for how you can go in and search. And then what we also have is the film strip recorder right here. So there's remember on the email tool, we had the built-in recorder. This is also available on the Rich Content Editor. Where I click on this, I can then, if I have a camera installed on my computer, I can just say a couple things like, students, please submit your work right here. There'd be a red record button. This would package it up and save it right in line. Within 2 clicks, I have that embedded into my video file. All right? I'm going to scroll down.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because I do teach math, and the graph builder thing was intriguing. Is there also the ability to do mathematical symbols and stuff?
I was a C+ journalism student, so it uses the LaTeX editor. You can also go and actually view it in the code mode right here. So if you want to just copy and paste the code into here, or you can go back and look at it and just type in the different equations right here that you see fit. And then if you switch to the basic view, there you go. You see the different options for looking at that. We did not want a rich text editor that relied on client-side Java because that's very disruptive to users. So we actually built this to work with users with disabilities and have minimal impact on the experience. All right, that's the equation editor. Going down below, we have a couple different things, and we have advanced options right here. So your grading type can be %, complete, incomplete, letter grade, not graded. You can do submission type, online, on paper, external tool. I'm going to do online. I'm going to allow them to submit a number of different ways, file uploads, and then I also have, occasionally I have a teacher say, I have students submitting things to me in either Works or more recently PageMaker, and I ask you who has either of those installed on their computer. Usually not many people. So you can restrict the file upload type. If I only want them submitting a PowerPoint document or just a DOC right here, you can put that in and that would make sure they submitted in the appropriate file type. If it's a group assignment, does everybody get the same grade? Or does each person get their individual grade? And then if you want to require peer review, once Joe submits, then he's asked to provide feedback on 3 other students using the tools that are available to the teacher. Okay? I'm not going to do any of that. I just want to let you know that's available. I'm going to click Update Assignment. And now we're going to show you what we feel is Canvas's strongest testament to ease of use. Rubrics for assessment. Anyone interest? Rubrics? Yes? We have one person. Okay.
Ask a question before
Yeah,
that.
go ahead.
Is there an integrated plagiarism checker?
We have a Turnitin is what we integrate with for plagiarism detection. All right?
Now, by integrate with, does that mean that it's part of the package or it's separate?
Very good distinction. It means that you need to license it with Turnitin on your own, but when you go to grade a student submission, it'll show up like all the suspected plagiarism would show up as you're grading. You can see that all built in and in line. It comes in within Canvas. Do you use that right now?
We have what? Safe Assign.
Safe Assign, okay. Yeah, it's a similar type tool.
And my question then to the internal people would be that Safe Assign keeps those records of all of those previous lab reports offline. It would be helpful if we could like bring those somehow back. The database, from the database of those. Because I know somebody who has like hundreds of lab reports that they don't want to have to put back in the day. For whatever plagiarism checker we use, they would have to put those back.
Okay. So now we're back here at the assignment, and right below the assignment, there's a little button here that says Add a Rubric. And if you want to align a rubric to a learning object in Canvas, you click on the button Add Rubric, and this will create a generic rubric with one criterion. If I've already been teaching in Canvas for a while and I already have a number of rubrics built, I just click on Find a Rubric, and this shows me all of the different courses I'm in and each of the rubrics in those courses. So if I want to go to Earth Sciences and reuse the paper rubric draft or the geology and pick this, I can just I can select that rubric and then repurpose it here on this learning object. I'm going to go through the exercise here of actually creating a rubric. We have one criterion. If I want to add criteria, I just pick the button. Now I have 3 criterion. And then the questions I usually get are, can the criterion have different scales? Yeah, you can have a lot of ratings for this one. This one's got a lot of ratings. This one's got 3, and this one's got 2. Then I have a teacher ask me, okay, can you have negative points on a rubric? And I say, why would you do that? Well, just for showing up, we're going to give you negative points. Yep, you can have negative points. And then 3 is never quite right. You want to be 3.33 to be right in the middle, okay? So a lot of flexibility with the rubric. You can go in, you can customize each of the ratings on the scale, you can customize the description of the criterion. I had a teacher the other day ask me, okay, how much text can you have in these? So I go over to LOREM, IPSUM, lorem ipsum, generic text. Let's go in and show you here. I can go to a lorem ipsum generator and get a whole paragraph here. And if you really wanted to get deep and rich on the evaluation here, you can type this in. So you have a lot of text right there in the criterion. These are all criterions I've developed my own. If John Carroll is doing institutional assessment, you can go and you can find outcome criterion that have been made available to me based on maybe my department or my program. And these are all the ones that have been made available to me, either department, program, or institution-wide. And there's one here, Mastery of Earth Systems. I want to use this as part of my rubric. I click Import, and I click OK. And now I have the institutional criteria or the institutional outcome as part of my rubric designated by the little yellow flag right here, so we know that's an institutional outcome. I cannot change this one. This is one that's not able for me to modify because we can report back up through the hierarchy of the school and run institution-wide reports on how students are faring against mastery of Earth system processes across the entire school. I can do free-form comments when assessing, so if I don't want to use a scale, or if I just want to put the comments in with free-form, and I do want to use this rubric for assignment grading, I click Create Rubric, and now I've just created and aligned this rubric. Anytime moving forward, anytime I want to add a rubric, this one will show up in my list of rubrics that are available to me because I've already created it. Any questions about rubric creation and outcomes?
How about is there ability to go out and look at a repository of rubrics and go out and see?
Yeah, well, I can go right here. Over on my left-hand side, I've got a number of different tabs of functionality. There is an Outcomes tab right here. This is where I can go in and I can click on Manage Rubrics, and this would then show me all of the rubrics that have been made available to me. So this is really it's part of the hierarchy discussion where if you're in the sciences department here at the school, they might have a number of rubrics that have already been made available and then associated with you. Or maybe everyone in the school has access to a singular rubric that you would apply.
Suggestion for future development, that one of the rubric sites that I use is constantly try and find rubrics that other people have created. And I can make those available. And it's a really nice tool because you can look up a rubric to your paper and see what other people have.
So you're talking about like a third-party rubric development tool somewhere out there. Okay. Yeah, there's a number of different standards for these that you can actually import them in at an administrative level, so it's not out of the question. I just don't know the specifics around which ones you're using and what those standards are. Okay, I'm going to go back to Introduction to Geology, and we'll talk a little bit more about content creation, because I know that you had a lot of questions about that on your rubric. I'm going to go back in, and I go to the drop-down. I want to add content just like before. This time I want to create a quiz. I click on Quiz. I have all these existing quizzes. If I want to create a new quiz, I would call this the JCU quiz. What category of the gradebook? This would go into Quizzes and Exams. I click Add Item. And now I've got the JCU quiz. And just like before, all I have is a name and a category to the gradebook for it. Until I publish it, it won't be available for student view, so I can go in and work on this, and when I publish it, it'll be ready for students. When I click on the Edit button right here, this will allow me to go in. Using the Rich Content Editor, I can put the quiz instructions. So I have all these different tools available to me. And then the quiz type, practice and graded quizzes. And then graded survey and ungraded survey. The difference there is if you want to do anonymous surveys or course evaluations, you would do the ungraded survey. The graded survey shows up in the gradebook so you know who's taken it. So if you do want to give someone credit for taking a survey, those are the different implications there. All that's available within the survey tool. You can shuffle, within the quiz tool. You can shuffle answers, you can put a time limit on it, you can give them multiple attempts, keeping the highest or the latest. How many attempts do you want to give them? You can see their quiz responses, you can let them see their correct answers at particular dates. So maybe you want to hide the correct answers back for a while, you can do that. You can also do it show one question at a time and lock the questions after answering. We have an integration with Respondus for their lockdown browser if you're doing high stakes testing, but we can also do something like require an access code and filter by IP address. The next tab over is where you add your questions. If I want to create a new question right here, I go in, and here's a drop down of all the different question types. For sake of time, I'm not going to go too much into this, but I know for math folks, we do have this formula question here that allows you to go in and create a formula that presents students with a different possibility each time, and they have to answer it there. I know some math people really like that. Let me go just to like the multiple choice question. You have the rich text editor where you can ask the question. If you're only teaching languages here, you can actually ask the question or have the students submit their answer using the built-in film strip recorder right here, which is really nice. Possible answers, and then even more granular, that rich text editor shows up at each of the question levels as well with all the functionality available. You can give feedback, the right answer, feedback for this incorrect, this incorrect, this incorrect, and then feedback overall incorrect, incorrect, indifferent right there. I can create new question groups and then pull questions from different question banks. So if I have 20 questions, 10 random from here and 10 random from there, that can be done as well. All right, I'm going to go back to the quizzes, and then let's talk about one thing that I'm always usually asked about, and that is you have a quiz, it has a time limit and a restriction of number of attempts on it, but then you have a student in your class that maybe has some sort of either disability or an exception, something happened, there was a death in the family last week. How do you go in and fine-tune the settings for just one or two individual users? In Canvas, I'm in the Quiz 1, Origin of the Earth. There's a button here that says Moderate this quiz. I can go into it and see a list of all the students in the class. And if Chris with a K, maybe he doesn't test well, he's got some anxiety issues with testing, I can click on the pencil. I can give him an extra attempt and even give him extra time on each one. So a nice way to get granular with the extensions for individual students there. I'll go back to Introduction to Geology, and let's go in and create one more piece of content that I know is important to you, and that is discussions.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
You had different labels for those and then sub-labels. Like you had a survey, a graded survey, and an ungraded survey.
Yeah.
The graded survey just went into the grade book as somebody took it.
Yeah.
But you could get a report of that survey.
Yeah, the purpose on that one is that you can see who's actually taken the survey as opposed to, is the question about capturing a score or just yes or no, they've taken it?
Let's see, that's,
Yeah,
some of us do, let's say, course evaluations.
yeah,
Using a survey form.
yeah.
Now on Blackboard. Is there a totally anonymous survey mode where you can get the results and you don't know if students have taken it or not?
Yeah, that would be the ungraded survey. You would not know who's taken it, you would just get the results.
But you would get the results.
Yeah, you are correct about that. So this one happens to be an ungraded survey right here. So again, graded, you'd see who took it, what the results were. Ungraded, you would not know. All right. Let's now go to geology.
Could you guys internally grab that data? I mean, is it truly anonymous? Or could you guys drill in a database and get it?
I would
That
think,
becomes a potential.
yeah. So I don't know about that. I'm sure at the administrative level, someone might be able to, if they really wanted to. There could be a select number of people that had administrative privileges to the application that could go in and actually see how that was taken. But I've got a couple things I'm jotting down. You want to prevent, actually, you want to actually have
I
it.
just want, if we say it's anonymous, I want to make sure it's anonymous to everybody at all times. Because otherwise, it's anonymous to the instructor, but other people have access to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, I'm going to go now into the oh, yeah, go ahead, sir.
Under JC module?
Yeah.
Can you collapse that? So if
Yeah.
I put multiple modules?
Yep. In fact, all these are collapsed below it, so you don't. And you can easily, I don't know if you came in a little bit later, but you can move these around if you want this one to be at the bottom.
Yes.
Or maybe if this time is for this one right now, you just bring it up to top and it's right there. I'm going to add one more piece here. I'm going to add content. I'm going to go in and add the discussion right here. I've got a number of existing discussions. I want to create a new topic. Call this the JCU discussion. And my spell check will catch me right there. Or maybe not. That is the spelling of something. I don't know what word that really is. But I'm going to add it in.
That's probably discussion in the past was perfect.
Okay. So I click on this discussion forum, and you know, there's not really anything incredibly unique about this. If I want to go in, I can subscribe to it, which means I'll be notified anytime new comments come to it. If I want to edit this, I can go in and I can. Here's the rich text editor. So we've got some virtual schools that use the built-in camera entirely for discussion forums. It creates a really engaging experience. These teachers say they know their students better than some of their face-to-face classes because of all the engagement here with the camera. If I wanted to tell students to please provide an introduction about yourself and use the video camera up here in the top of the editor, that would be a very nice idea.
It also means they can't cheat online.
They can't cheat online because they're seeing it. Yeah, you're seeing it done real time.
That's a really good fake.
You can do threaded replies. You can say that users must post before seeing replies. You can create a podcast feed, and you can also grade these. And Canvas allows you to align a rubric to discussion forums as well. So if you want to assess discussion forums based on rubric criteria for consistency, you have the possibility to do that.
What do you mean by allow threaded replies? You mean replies to any thread or other reply?
It would, you know what? I'm not exactly sure. It'll show up, what it does is it shows up in the system with more of an indentation as opposed to just linear.
Right.
So it just makes it easier to see.
I'm looking at somebody posts a thread, somebody replies to that thread, it's
Yeah.
indented.
Yeah.
If somebody replies to the reply, it's that indented under the reply.
Yeah, that's where you get threaded replies, okay. Some people like that, there's different opinions on how that works, so we allowed that in here. I'm going to click Save, and now I've got this new JCU discussion forum. And if I click back over to the discussions area and look at all of my discussions, the way discussions are laid out here is we have three different categories. We have pinned, we have discussions, and we have closed for comments. So I just created the JCU discussions. I rely heavily on discussion forums. I usually have a dozen of them, and it gets sometimes confusing to students. If I bring this up into the pinned area by dragging and dropping it and moving it up, it'll be the one the students will see and it's most relevant to them. If maybe introductions, if this period is done or week 7 is done, I can drag this down below, closed for comments, and now students can't participate in that. So it just helps clean it up and organize it a bit. Over on the right, you can see a list of all the unread replies and replies, so it easily identifies what I've seen and what I have not yet seen. Okay, that's discussion forums. Now let me talk a little bit about analytics and reporting and student tracking, which was part of your criteria.
I have discussion forums, you can post any type of file that's an attachment.
Yeah, the discussion forum uses the rich content editor. Remember when I showed you, we added any file into it. So that's available in a number of different places. Students can get very rich with that. Hi, John, are you joining me? All right. I'm still going through with my demo, so we'll have some questions here in a bit. I've got some written down for you. All right. I'm now going to go and talk about reporting, and we'll look at reporting from a couple different levels. One is I'm in the module layout. I want to see how students are progressing in these modules. I click the View Progress button right here, and this will give me information about, click on View Progress. This will show me each of the students, their status on each of the modules. So JCU module, no information yet. Course orientation's in progress. Some of these are locked. Build Blend has actually completed some things right here, so you can see how they're doing on each of the different modules in the course. That's one very rudimentary tracking tool. We have also built in an analytics package into Canvas. Right here you see the View Course Analytics button in the top right-hand corner. And this is an example of how when Canvas creates and develops functionality, we just roll it right into the product right here. So it's not like something we come back to you after the fact and say, now we have analytics, would you like to purchase this? We just becomes available and you can turn this on if you want. This is analytics about the whole class, the activity. Blue means they looked, orange means they actually did something. Here's all my assignments. Here's each of the graded assignments in the class. I can hover over, see the high, median, low, and possible. So it gives you a little, I think it's a whisker chart maybe, is that a whisker? There's a name for that type of chart. And then down below is each of the students in the class. So I can see Chris with a K, I can see Bill. If I want to get more information about Chris, I can click on his name right here, and this is the report that Chris with a K would see about himself. He can see his activity, he can see the interaction with the teacher, he can see the assignments, and in this case, there may be some liability on me because I've made every assignment due, in the same period of time, which makes it really hard on the student from a pacing standpoint. And then Chris can see each of his graded assignments versus the class average right here. We can hide some of this information if you have a really small class and you don't want students seeing this, their grade versus the class average, we can hide that. I can also click on Chris right here. I can go in and I can get even more information like my interactions report with Chris. If I click on him, it shows me each of the interactions I've had. I can back up here. I can message him from right there. There's a little mailbox. I can see Chris's access report. These are each of the different assignments in the class, how many times he's looked at them, how many times he's participated, when he last viewed that. And then down here, the outcomes report. I can even go into the user account details right here. And because I'm an administrator, I can do something that you as teachers and professors would not be able to do, and that is actually masquerade as the user. So I'm going in, I'm doing something that is done mostly from a support standpoint, where if Chris has a problem, he calls in. But I want to show you two things from a student's point of view, an actual student right here. The first one is the grades from the student point of view. If you've taught, which I know all of you have done, you know that halfway or 3/4 of the way through a semester, a student may come to you and say, Dr. Babbitt, I'm really struggling in the class. I'm trying to do my best, but what am I getting? I'm getting a 68, a D+ in the class. And the traditional approach here is I create a spreadsheet, we work through it, we do different scenarios, and we try to recreate the grade in that spreadsheet, which takes the focuses off teaching and learning. In Canvas, we've got a what-if scenario here so that we have Quiz 1 is coming up. It's worth 12 points. Chris, if you study really hard and you ace this and you get a 12, you will now get a 75.1% in the class. And if you go back to the introductions assignment, and let's say you take this again and get a 14 out of 15, now you're getting a 77, and week 1 field trip, maybe you get 14 out of that, now you're getting an 82 in the class. These are some of the things you need to do better in the class. Students really like this piece of functionality right here. This does not impact the grade book. As soon as I move away from here, it reverts back to the actual scores.
Show all detail.
Let's see, if I go to grades and I click on I go to grades and I show all details. It just gives me more information about how other students are faring on this right here. Gives me some of the analytics right there. All right? I'm going to go back to Introduction to Geology Home, and the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to submit the assignment. So right here, I've got the turn in JCU assignment. This is what it looks like to the student. He goes in here. He sees a bunch of the nonsense we created in the rich content editor. He knows what he's being assessed against. And then right here, he has the different ways of submitting it. File upload. Here's where the student can submit just using the rich text editor. So again, if you're teaching languages or speech or presentation skills, they can record themselves and submit that as an assignment. They can submit a website URL. They can upload a file. I'm just going to upload a video file. I'm just going to browse my desktop and pick a file. So I'm going to choose files, in Structure. We actually had a teacher. No, that's not the one. I want just the files. We actually had a teacher write us a love letter about our learning management system, and I'm going to submit that as an assignment. And I'm going to say, here it is, exclamation point. And I click Submit Assignment, and depending on the size of this file, this should take maybe 10 or 15 seconds. It's a very lightweight Word document. When it is submitted, I'll see a status report right there. Turned in successfully. I know it's done. Looks good, okay? I'm going to stop masquerading. I'm going to go back in to Canvas as a teacher. Now, one thing we haven't talked much about, which Jim alluded to at the beginning, is Canvas is a very modern application. We've been around for now just a couple years. And when we were developed, our founders went out and talked to schools about what they liked least about their learning management system. And can anyone take a guess about what is the biggest? There's two biggest frustrations that users have with learning management systems and education technology in general. What's that? Takes too much time. Usability, ease of use. Yeah, make this incredibly easy. Again, I referenced the teachers that use their laptops as doorstops. They resist technology. The other is the concept of versions. You've been on an LMS for a while. It has major versions, and it really makes me sad when I talk to LMS administrators that say they have to work over Christmas to upgrade and update the LMS because it's the only time we have to go from one version to the other. Every other time of the year we're teaching classes. So Canvas has been built from the ground up to be a true native cloud application. And without getting too technical here, anyone Gmail accounts? You guys are on Gmail, aren't you? Yeah. What version of Gmail are you on? What's that? The latest, okay. Who cares? The latest, okay. Gmail doesn't have versions. It's when they make changes, they make incremental changes over time with little disruption. The same is true for Canvas. Every one of our 10 million end users is on the exact same application. And what this means also is that as part of a native cloud application, we'll keep your information in Canvas over time indefinitely. There's no reason to be archiving and downloading and backing up courses. And this really makes it nice for the analytics package. Remember I showed you the analytics where you're looking at student performance in the class? We can also look at that longitudinally and latitudinally. So we can look at it across sections and then over time because we're going to keep all this data in the LMS for you. What also makes this really nice from your standpoint is if you're one of those teachers that accidentally has deleted content out of Blackboard, anyone want to own up to it? Anyone? No? No hands? Okay. It happens every once in a while where on a Saturday you're working away, your course goes live on Monday, and you accidentally delete something, you pick up the phone, you're panicking, you got to call someone on Jim's staff probably, and it creates quite a frustration. In Canvas, if you just go up to the top URL, you type in the word /undelete, we can now see all of the things we've ever deleted from this course and easily restore those into here. So there's a Xavier announcement. If I want to restore that, I just click the restore button. That comes back in. If you accidentally delete a quiz, all the quiz data, all the student activity, all the student performance information will come back in as well. Okay? That's one of the major paradigm shifts between the other LMSs you're looking at and at Canvas is we don't have that major disruption of versions. We just don't think there's a perfect time to be doing that. Yes, sir, up top?
Sort of related to that, so one of the things that I don't like about Blackboard in particular is that I create a course and I have multiple sections. I want to keep them separate so that they're not separate and not the same. So I have to actually do two things. Is there a sort of, I think you create, I don't know if I've heard of this, sort of a mother course, all the other courses, content follows it.
Yeah, I mean, one thing would be just create 3 different courses that represent each section, but to make your life easier, when you're in Canvas, if you go into the settings area, there's a sections tool right here where I have this Introduction to Geology course. I want 3 different sections, all the same content, all the same grade book, but each of the students is seeing only their subset of users as part of that section.
And so, so if I update section 1, can I make it so it just automatically updates section 2?
Yeah, what you would do is you'd just update right here at the master level, and all the different sections would be automatically updated as part of that. As long as all the content's the same, as long as you don't have unique content in any of these sections, you can just do it once. It'll be reflected in all the sections for you. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do now is, let's show you the best part of today's demonstration, and that is what has historically been one of the most painful exercises with LMSs is the concept of grading. All right, I'm back in here. I'm back at the system homepage. I'm in as the teacher, and on my to-do list over here, I now see I have to grade the JCU assignment. If I click on this, it's going to take me into the tool that we call our speed grader. You're probably seeing this now from some other companies. They've tried to replicate this functionality, but we were the first one to introduce it. And this brings up the submission. This is an actual letter written to us by a lecturer in marketing at the Wharton School about how much they love the speed grader tool. And it neutralizes. Chris is the only one that's submitted yet. If I drop down and look at all my students, Chris is the only one that's submitted. I can go in here. I can do inline annotation. Have I told you lately how much I love you? No, you have not. And then the student and the teacher can then download this annotated version as a PDF right here. So you have both the original and the annotated version. I want to grade this using the rubric. I just click the rubric right here. And I click on the cells. This is a 4. This is a 3.33. This is a 5. And this is a 0. And it automatically tallies the score down in the bottom right here, which will then go into the grade book for you. So very streamlined workflow with automatically grading using the rubric. Then at the bottom, I go down here. I can add a comment. I can type some, here's the message that he sent to me. Here it is. If I want to type a comment back to him, I can do that. But I'm pretty lazy, and after I've been grading all day, the last thing I'm going to do is start typing comments. So we can, if we're using Chrome, this is only true of Chrome, Chrome has built-in speech recognition. So if I click on right here, Bill, nice work. Please focus on your critical thinking skills next time. Right there. So you can see how well Chrome will automatically take and use the speech recognition. You may have varying degrees of success with some of this, but it's just an example of how we'll utilize that technology that's unique. This is unique to Chrome. It won't work in Firefox or Internet Explorer. The other thing is there's also the camera right here. So if I want to click on the camera and I want to provide some feedback to Bill, either audio or video, once again, I've got this camera tool. If I have a camera installed, I can click the red recording button, I start talking, and this will package it up and save it right in here. And then once I click Submit Comments, Bill's cell phone lights up. He gets all the feedback. He gets his grade all right there, pretty much in near time when I submit it. I'm going to talk now just a little bit about our mobile tools. We've got.
Do you have the ability to draw on that?
Yeah, well, here's the draw, and right there I can draw. Yeah, right there.
And will a student be able, there's some people that would like to grade these, but then not necessarily have the student be able to download them.
Grade and prevent them from downloading.
So if you have a student who set up their notifications so that they find out as soon as you've posted a grade,
yeah.
What if I don't want them all to see their grades until I finish grading everybody's?
We'll talk about the grade book in just a minute. There is an answer to that, yes.
No, I know people that don't want them to download it, period.
They never want to be able to download that. I've got one of my engineers on the phone with me. John, can you, I don't know if you know offhand, but there's a question about restricting a download of a graded assignment for the student to ever be able to download it, even once it's been unmuted.
I'm sorry, once it's been what?
Well, no, they never want the student to be able to download an annotated assignment.
Yeah, let me look into it. I'll get back with you in a second.
Okay, yeah, we're going to show we're going to show we're going to show mobile tools.
Or like a final exam that you think you might want to reuse.
Well, lab reports.
Lab reports.
Lab reports.
Okay.
There are people that hand out the lab reports to the students, they look them over, they hand them back.
All right.
They could scan them, they could take pictures of them, but most of the time they're too lazy.
Do you restrict it right now in Blackboard? There's a way to...
Well, no, they don't grade them on Blackboard.
All right.
This is a new feature.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure of a way. I mean, they could take a picture of it with their phone, right?
They can do that now. The thing is just, if they can download it, then it's there forever. It can be
Yeah.
passed around 100 times.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of laziness that they won't go to take a picture.
Okay. Yeah.
But the download button is
Makes it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Well, let me talk while yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, you're talking about the annotations? Because I know the student's going to be able to download their own submission, but the annotations they would download.
Yeah, there is a PDF. There's a button right there where they can download it as the PDF right here.
That's what they're looking for.
Yeah,
Okay.
trying to prevent that. Okay, so take a look at that. I'm going to show the mobile tools real quick, and then we'll come back to grading and gradebook here in just a moment. This is my iPad right here. In the very bottom, you'll see there's a little gear with a number on it. This is our speed grader tool for the tablet. If I click on this, I'm going to go through the same workflow I just went through on the computer. So I go in, I see all the classes I'm teaching. Introduction to Geology has a little ribbon with the number 20, which means there's 20 ungraded assignments. I open this up, I go to the JCU assignment, which is right above the quizzes and exam bar. I click on this, and this will load the submission right here, and this will be Chris with a K. There you go. Now my Word document will be neutralized and loads in here. Here's the grade right here. This is the rubric. Same rubric, just different layout to accommodate the screen. If I want to just go in here and type some different scores, 4, 5, 0, and 3, it'll automatically tally the grade. And then I can go and I can make a comment to the student. So if I want to go in here and I want to give some feedback to the student, here's my camera. I can bring this up. I can start talking. Bill, nice work. I'd like you to focus on your critical thinking skills. And then I post that. And Bill and I can actually have a dialogue back and forth. When Bill goes into Canvas and looks at this feedback, he can record a message back to you and type a message back and forth, so there can be some back and forth on there without having to go into something like the mail tool and have that conversation elsewhere. That's the iPad for Teacher tool. Let me now show you very quickly. We've got about 15 minutes. We have a hard stop at, was it 4:30 we have a hard stop? Okay, I do want to show you a couple things here. That's the tablet. Here's what the student, let's see if this works. AirPlay, I don't know if I was able to get this to work or not. Structures Mac, mirror. Come on. Come on. Let me go in my dongle here and do it this way, because it's not, for some reason that's not working. So the mobile for iPhone and Android is a bit more geared towards the student experience. And I open this up, and there's my tweet. So, there's my folder. In the bottom right, I've got a folder of Canvas tools. You see the little Canvas app on the left with a 2 on it. If I click on this, this brings up Canvas. This is what it looked like in a Droid or in an iPhone. And this is a campus I was at a couple days ago. Let me then customize this, and let me use an existing photo. So I've already taken some pictures of your campus here, of John Carroll. Let me use this one right here. What a terrible day to take a picture, right? I choose that. And now that becomes, see how easy it is for the student to personalize what their Canvas homepage is. They just click on their photo roll. Just an example of how intuitive and easy to use the tools are in Canvas. I'm in 2 courses, Introduction to Geology. I can just swipe and see my grade. I can swipe and see my grade here. Across the top, if I swipe the picture of the school, I can see all my notifications, all the things that have recently happened. And you can see I already have my feedback from my teacher there, the JCU assignment. It's been graded. And then things I need to do from a student point of view right here. I can click on any of these and actually participate and do those. We also have messages. So the mail tool shows up in here as well. If I want to compose a new mail message from my phone, I click on the Compose button. I want to go in and send a message to Chris, C-H-R-I-S. Let's see what happens. Chris Babbitt. I want to send this to my teacher. I click Done. And now I can either type the message in right here, or if I'm lazy, I can record, take photo or video right here, and I can take a recording of the class, or I can just go in and say, Professor Babbitt, I'd like to meet with you in office hours today to discuss week 2 concepts, and hit cancel, and that'll send the message off to them. So I'm moving pretty quickly here because I only have a couple minutes left. I can go into the geology. Let me go into the geology course and just show you what these courses look like. The module layout here, I can go in and I can go into week 1 Origin of Earth and actually interact and participate in the class. Our near-term roadmap for mobile tools is to make classes, make it so that students can do all the content directly from their phones. Right now there's a couple of limitations when it comes to testing. The experience is just not as good as we'd like. So you can access all your content, you can communicate, you can participate in discussion forums, but the ability to complete the whole class from a mobile phone is a near-term plan of ours, and I don't think we're that far from it. You can do some of this stuff right now. But in the example of taking a quiz, what it does is it opens up a browser for you and take that through a browser, where we really want them to be able to take it directly through the mobile device. Just keep it more streamlined and user-friendly. These are all available at no additional charge. We don't charge extra for our mobile tools. It's all part of the package that we offer, the core singular Canvas platform. All right, let me now go over and jump back in. I've got a couple other things I want to show you. Come on. There we go. And you should now see my screen. I'm going to go back to the home page. We've got about 12 minutes, and there's some other pieces of functionality that I think are worth showing you, including the grade book. If I click on the grades right here, this is the grade book. We don't have versions, so when we make something like a change to the grade book, this is how we handle it. If you were teaching in Canvas about 1.5 years ago, this is the classic grade book that you would see. We got some feedback from our user community. They said, hey, we'd really like to have some different functionality. So we did that. We didn't have to change versions. We just say, try out the new gradebook button. Click on this. It'll take you into the new gradebook. And depending on the severity of the changes, that button will be available a long time or maybe not that long. This is the new gradebook. I can drop and move this around right here. You can go into these columns right here. You can jump into the speed grader. You can message students who haven't submitted, scored less than 14 out of 15. You can automatically send a blind copy message to each of those students. You have the ability to set the default grade, the deadline's passed, everyone gets a 0. You can curve grades based on the average score. Canvas will determine that for you. And then you can also mute the assignment right here. What this means is that students can't see their grade until we've unmuted it. It answers half of your question. I don't think there's a way to prevent students from downloading the annotated, but I know John's looking into it, and we'll try to get you an answer on that.
Secondary ID is a name they want to give themselves for you?
Its secondary ID would be a database field that you might determine, like if you wanted their student ID number or something in here. You can, I'm sorry, sir, do you have a question too?
No, that's it. Two things. Any message that I send this way, I also get a copy of.
Yes.
Okay. And second, on your main screen where you had all the stuff on the left, I saw conferences.
Yep. In 10 minutes, I'm going to show you all that functionality. There's a drop down here where you can go in, you can download scores and upload scores as a CSV. You can publish them back to Banner, and you can also look at the grading history. So if you or one of your TAs make a mistake in the grade book, we keep a history of everything that happens in Canvas. So I can go in and see the JCU assignment before, after. I can roll back to this if I want to revert back to that. It's super easy to do that. So I don't want to shorten my gradebook thing here too much because I know it's important. At the very end, we have category totals. These are all the totals for the category, then overall. If you hover over it, you can get the points instead of the percentage. So you may want a points or percentage-based gradebook. You can set that up. There's ways of dropping the highest and lowest. If you want to drop the 2 highest or the 2 lowest, you can do that as well. Let me go back to Introduction to Geology, talk about a couple settings of functionality over here. Collaborations, this was something you had asked me about. You can do this through discussion forums, but we also have a built-in integration with Google Docs right here, where if I want to click a new collaboration, I can use either Etherpad or Google Docs. I call this the JCU Collaborate. I give it a description that I invite either students or I've broken my class up into groups. I can invite either one of those. I want to invite Chris with a K, Bill, and Guy, and I click Start Collaborating. And this will now launch a Google Doc that invites each of those 3 students to come and participate. I think this is one of the coolest pieces of functionality because they can actually be typing and working at the exact same time. It'll save it for them, and then if you remember back on the assignments, they can submit a web page back to Canvas for a grade, so they can pick from other Google Docs, and they can submit that back. If they work together on a project, they can submit that back into Canvas. The other piece of functionality here, we have a built-in conferencing tool. Are you using any synchronous tools right now? Wimba, Illuminate, or Blackboard Collaborate?
Well,
Adobe?
WebCT is used by some of you. I don't know.
WebEx, okay, WebEx. So this is our answer to that. If you want to have a synchronous session, I just click Create a New Conference right here. Call this the JCU Conference. And if I have multiple tools right here, I can pick from either WebEx or Big Blue Button. There's no charge to use Big Blue Button. And I can invite everyone, or just like maybe Chris with a K for office hours, virtual office hours. I want to have a session with Chris. I click Update, and now I start the conference, and this will launch the integration with Big Blue Button. This is one of 2 areas that does use Flash. So you'll see a little notice come up here that requires Flash. And I'm connecting. I may not be able to connect to the server over the free Wi-Fi here. I don't know. You may have that blocked. It gives you desktop sharing. It gives you video. It gives you chat. You can do whiteboard and mock-up documents if you want. Oh, here you go. So this is what the interface looks like right here. And if I hit cancel now, you can get a sense for, you throw your document, you share your screen in the center. People have webcams right here where you can see their faces, you can see who's online, and they can chat over on the right-hand side. And you can record this as well. Yes, you can record this as well.
So actually, that's another way of doing screen capture.
Yeah, if you want to do screen capture that way, there's that way of doing it. We've added attendance. This is another example of ease of use in Canvas. If you were using the LMS as part of a complement to the classroom, there's a built-in attendance tool right here. And the first thing you do is you come into your class and you set up your seating chart. And the easiest way to do that is drag and drop. So I move my students around based on where they're sitting. That looks good. And then I take attendance and I kind of work backwards. I'm going to mark everyone as present, then go in and say he's not here and she's late. Well, in the settings, what is a late? The roll call settings, late or leaving early, will give them 80% of credit for coming in late or leaving early. And that's how you take attendance. Once you take attendance, it automatically creates a column in the grade book where this score goes to. So a super simple, easy to use tool that plugs in. Did I miss anything? I've got about 6 minutes left till my hard stop. I want to make sure I've covered everything.
How about
Sir?
support? So what happens when I have a problem?
Yeah, okay. What happens when you have a problem? There's a help button right here up at the top. If I click on this, you can search the Canvas documentation, you can report a problem, you can ask our community, and you can even request a feature. The report a problem, it just depends on the model here at John Carroll. Do you want Instructure, do you want our experts to handle requests from students and faculty? And we can certainly do that. Or does it go directly to someone at an internal help desk, and then if they can't answer it, they feed it up to us? There's different options about that. But our documentation is really nice. We've got all kinds of easy-to-use tutorials here, including videos. We've got a whole area of video tutorials based on topics. So if you want to learn about quiz creation in Canvas, you click right there, and there's a 3-minute video that walks you through the fundamentals of creating quizzes there. All this documentation's already been created for you. Yes, sir.
You said you used the word teaching assistants, so you could set up teaching assistants within these classes.
Yeah, so if I go back into Canvas and I go to the people area, let me talk a little bit about that. We've got some predefined roles. These are all of the predefined roles in Canvas. And just like Blackboard, you can customize and have flexibility here. But TA, teacher, student, Power TA, designer. I don't think Power TA is actually a default role, but everything else would be. And you also have a set of administrative level roles as well. And you can create new roles, you can create new course level roles, or you can create new administrative system-wide roles. And you might create someone like an outcomes administrator, someone that has administrative access but only to load outcomes and maybe look at results and scores within classes and not modify content. Yes? Oh, yeah.
Would a TA have, let's say, the ability to maybe assign a group of, assignments for one TA to grade? Does it have that ability to?
Yeah.
4 TAs, you could split up 4 of the, let's say, pre-lab quizzes and have each one of them graded with it.
Would each of those be in a different section?
They would be in the same section.
It'd be in the same section. All right. John, we had a question about having 4 TAs in a class, not broken up into sections, and could they each be assigned to grade different assignments but not see the other assignments, right? Does it matter?
I don't know that it matters.
Oh, all right. Yeah, well then you would just, if there's no restrictions on what they're not supposed to, if they didn't want them accidentally accessing something and grading it, they would know what they needed to grade, right? Okay, yeah. Yeah, you could have 4 different TAs in a class. Each one could grade their own unique assignment. We had a question here?
Last one.
All right, no, that's all right.
Can we be very confident that Canvas isn't looking to sell to somebody?
I've worked for a company that was purchased by Blackboard, a company by the name of Angel Learning. I spent 5 years with them, and when Blackboard bought them, it was not a good fit, so I left. And when I interviewed with this company, I asked them 3 different ways, 3 different times, would you sell to Blackboard? Would you sell to Blackboard? And I got laughed at. The company right now, the company's plan is in 2015, we're going to go public, where we're going to be an IPO, and we're going to go public. The company right now is valued that Blackboard could not afford to buy this company. It's way too expensive. Right now, Blackboard went private. They're heavily leveraged. They've spent a lot of money going private. They don't have a lot of money to buy companies. So it would be, I'm not going to say anything's impossible, but it'd be very difficult for them to pay for our company what we'd get by going public. I am confident it will not happen. I took this job based on that. Yes, ma'am.
So after you add a bunch of content or whatever, is there a way that you can view it the way that students
Yeah.
view it?
Yep, so, we've designed it to make sure that as you're building it, it looks the same from a teacher as a student point of view. Down in the settings in the bottom left, you click on this, and there is a generic student view up here in the top. If I click on the student view right here, I'm still masker. Well, I don't know what happened there, but let me go to Introduction to Geology, and now I'm looking at it. You can see in the very bottom, I'm logged in as student view, leave student view right here, so you can see it from a generic point of view. All right. I think I've talked about pretty much all the functionality.
Actually, while you're on that page,
Yeah.
the other question I have is, you have all those modules, and you expand it, and everything's at the same level. I'm assuming that I could have a module that was a list of assignments, and then I could subgroup those by month or something?
Yeah, we could do something like, if I go into this and I like the JCU quiz, I can just click this little arrow button to, you want to indent things?
Okay, and then that would form like a subgroup that then I could collapse and expand?
I don't know about subgroups that collapse and expand. I don't think you have there's not an ability to create a subgroup that would collapse and expand within there, but you can indent them if you wanted to. What you can also do is just, if you wanted to have, the pages area gives you a lot of flexibility. So going back to, this, using the rich content editor to display the content any way you want through the rich text editor gives you the ultimate flexibility. Was there anything on the matrix that I did not answer?
Can you click on edit this page so I see what
Yeah.
options we
There you go. That brings up the rich text editor.
got?
Well, that was a lot of information. I talked really fast. You're probably tired of hearing me, right? But I appreciate the time. Again, I ask you to consider which system gives you the best chance to have the highest adoption here based on ease of use and intuitiveness. I know features are really important. Our LMS has been around a fraction of the time the other ones have been around, but we've got pretty much most of the features. But we think the ease of use and the ability to have everyone here adopt it and use it is one of the most important things. Thanks, folks.